Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the rumpled one. Billions is pennies to Congress once again. A penny to $100, or I'm sorry, a penny to $1 is like 10 billion to a trillion. Keep that in mind. Now, I've gone over some of the reasons why Congress has put us in the mess that we're in. Well, because of the size. Well, I just read that one congressman testified, or senator said that there is not going to be any spending reduction next year. It's just not going to happen. I guess not on his watch. So you see, we've got people, our elected officials in office, who are just refusing to do what needs to be done. Because once again, what can we do about it? We can make videos, we can write letters, we can do a whole bunch of stuff, but bottom line is, nothing happens. It's the same old thing. Because it's the monster's so big. And you see, they have protection from we the people. You know, if we showed up with shovels and pitchforks and axes, you know, they'd have the stormtroopers out there. You know what I'm talking about? So, they're basically saying they're going to use our tax dollars however they see fit. And they'll just tax us and tax us some more, and then tax the tax, and then put a tax on all of that. And what are we going to do to stop it? So they're not concerned about solving the problem. They're just paying lip service to it. Because to them, it's more of a ego thing. You know, the Republicans are here and the Democrats are here, and they're just not going to move. So meanwhile, the rest of the country, we're being held hostage by about 535 individuals in Washington, D.C. Think about that. We the people are being held hostage by about 535 individuals. How is that possible? How do we let that stand? How do we allow it to continue? It has to be our failing that we let these types run the country. So, you see, we've got these numbers that are so big that $1 million can get wasted. Well, just think how many people had to give up thousands to make that million. Think about that. How many people had to give up thousands to make that million that's wasted? You see, when it's spread across a lot of people, maybe it's just a penny to you and me, but it adds up, and it adds up fast. And then it keeps piling on. Because they're just spending us away. They're just spending the country away. I made that video the other day. Somebody asked me to explain the fiscal cliff, and I said, well, really, we're talking about the fiscal toilet because we're going down the drain. But see, what's important to Congress and the Senate and the President is getting reelected. That's all. And then, of course, the instant rebuttal is always, well, we need term limits. Well, we the people need to wake up, get a little bit smarter, and not re-elect anybody. till they start doing the proper job. But see, everybody thinks that their senator is a nice person or their Congress person is a nice person, so they keep voting them back in. I mean, here in the state of Oregon, they put DeFazio back in. Oh, because he's a nice guy. And, you know, he's fighting against big business. Do you really believe that propaganda? I mean, really believe that propaganda? Oh, sure, they'll get on TV or they'll come to town meetings and, you know, beat their fist and beat their chest and say how they're going to fight. Meanwhile, they turn right around and say we should have, you know, taxes of up to 40% on rich people. Now, I don't care how much money you make. I don't see why anybody should have to give up 4/10 of their earnings, 40%, to the government. It just doesn't make sense that they should have to pay that much of the money they've earned to the government. Now, I talked about how we've got these corporations and the government, they're basically in bed together, and the rest of us are serfs. Because you see, the corporations, they're on a different tax plan than we the people. See, earned income gets taxed one way, but business income is taxed a totally different way. Even though corporations have fought and won in courts to be considered a person so they can make these huge finance campaign contributions. Isn't that interesting? So you see how it just all kind of ties together, how it's just all commingled? And that's why we the people, we need to go to Washington, D.C. with an eraser and just erase the whole thing, mainly the people there, and get the Constitution and the government back to what it was, say, about the turn of what? Somewhere in the 1900s. Because all these alphabet soup agencies that have been created with billion-dollar budgets, some tens of billions, some hundreds of billion-dollar budgets, they need to be erased. We don't need them. We don't need them at all. So, in summary, we've got people in Washington, D.C. that they don't care about the problem because they're not going to cut spending. It's just that simple. It's not going to happen. Meanwhile, the debt increases and the deficit increases. That's where we're at, my fellow Americans. That's where we're at. And because that's where we're at, we need to wake up and smell the tyranny.